Energy healing and body talk. These days there are so many healing techniques available to us, like quantum touch, massotherapy, touch for health, zero balancing, healing touch, chiropractic, chakra balancing, qigong. The list goes on and on. It's exciting to know that more and more people around the world are accepting the healing value of alternative and complementary modalities. When we take a class in any one of these invaluable techniques, the focus of course is on learning the technique. How to protect ourselves from picking up clients' stuff. How to channel or run energy through our bodies out to our hands. How to approach and treat certain kinds of issues. The body mechanics we use, etc. What I see missing from the classes is how to assess the body healing type of the individual we are working with. What do I mean by that? Over the years, doing energy healing from the 1980s to the present time, I started to realize that with each person, I was addressing the energy flow to their bodies in a different way. Yes, there is the technique to follow, but after a while the practice becomes almost second nature. I found that as I was listening to the bodies, I was talking to them differently. And I haven't found that kind of body talk mentioned anywhere in the energy healing field. Of course, I think that each energy healing therapist has a particular way that their inner dialogue with the client feels most comfortable or most natural. But what I found was that, when I shifted my own inner preference for how I channeled or ran energy to match my client's healing type, their recovery occurred in shorter lengths of treatment time. So here's what was shown to me in the course of my years in energy healing. There are three basic types of healing preference that each body has: physical, mental, and spiritual. That seems to line up nicely with the complementary approach to body-mind-spirit healing, which is about the triune nature of being human. But what I'm referring to is the dominant energy healing preference each body is wired for. Each person's body responds most effectively to the type of energy transfer that matches his or her own energy healing type. So sometimes I found I would be silently talking to the body and explaining what it was going through and encouraging it to heal itself. Yes, you had a bad fall. You know your knee is injured, and you know how to fix it. You know how to do this. This silent body talk flowed into their bodies along with the energy. This was obviously for a mental body healing type. Other times I found myself praying. Sometimes it was a standard prayer, sometimes it was a free-flowing appeal to the person's guides or angels or Christ's Spirit or Mary or an archangel or the universal healing forces. Whatever came to mind to say, this prayer type energy flowed into the spiritual body healing type. And of course, there's the physical body type. This was a bit of a challenge for me, since most of the energy healing I do is in the biofield around the body and there's little or no physical contact. But the physical body healing type needs to feel it for it to respond more readily with its own inner healing mechanisms. So I'd touch the area in need, sometimes deeply, while my inner body talk with that person was more along the lines of a cheerleader, here it is. Go. Fix this. You can do it. Or sometimes there wasn't that much dialogue, just a lot of purposeful contact while I ran energy. By the 1990s, I figured it would be easier for me to know ahead of time which client was which body healing type before the session started so that I could start the body talk right away. Since I'd been learning how to do dowsing, I asked my pendulum what the type was. You can probably also use finger muscle testing, if you're familiar with that. It's a simple yes-no process of elimination as you ask which healing type your client is. There were some surprises that I learned along the way, too. People who I thought for sure would be one type turned out to be another, even though their personalities clearly indicated something else. Like my dad. Here was a guy who was totally immersed in 3D. If he couldn't see it, it didn't exist. A very physical guy. When he got older and started having health problems, and let me work on them, which wasn't all the time, I dowsed and, lo and behold, his healing body type was a spiritual. Then there's my mom, who I thought for sure would be a spiritual type, but the dowsing told me she was a physical. She believed in the old country ways of laying on of hands, had a strong church connection, which Dad didn't have, and was even known to have healing hands when she was younger, which was great for us as kids. But her body responded more effectively to the physical body touch approach. It reminded me of something I came across in the Edgar Cayce Holistic Health readings. He talked about the body-mind as though it was something different or separate from the conscious mind. And now I understood that. The body does have a mind of its own. And when we address that clearly, it responds more readily to whatever healing energy we deliver. Another surprise was that some people turn out to have dual types. This is more rare, but when you find it, it gives you more variety in how you frame your inner dialogue with the body. Finally, one night in the late 1990s as I was meditating, it was revealed to me that what my guidance had shown me described the way our master teacher, Jesus the Christ, healed people. For many of us, Christ's healings in the New Testament were our first exposure to energy healing, even though we probably thought of it as magical or superhuman, not something we could all do, even though he said we could. Maybe even some of the priests and pastors of our formal churches did the laying on of hands. But think about this. When Jesus healed the blind man, he put mud on the man's eyes and rubbed it in. Then the man could see. This was an example of the physical body healing type. The man needed to feel something happening to his eyes. When he told the cripple that his sins were forgiven, or to rise up and walk, he was addressing a mental body healing type. The man simply got up and walked away. There was no contact at all with him. Finally, when a woman touched the hem of his garment and he asked her why she did that, she replied that that's what she knew she needed to do to be healed. Definitely spiritual or faith healing. There also is one other example of a type of healing Jesus did, and that was when the Roman soldier asked him to heal his good servant who was not present at the time. This was a beautiful and dramatic example of both distance healing for the servant and faith healing on the part of the soldier. During the course of working with many clients over the years, my own guidance has revealed techniques and understandings that were invaluable in helping my people regain function and health sooner and more easily. You can use this information for yourself as well during those times you need to amplify more healing resource into your own body. I hope you find this information applicable in your own interactions with people in need. Cheryl Salerno is a ULC minister with a healing ministry dating back to the 1980s as a massage therapist and energy healer, working out of holistic chiropractic offices. Now semi-retired, Cheryl still does her own distance healing and occasionally uses the Trinfinity 8 rejuvenation and restoration system in the distance healing mode. Her websites are dedicated to helping people resolve post-operative challenges and postpartum difficulties which have been undiagnosable. She also helps veterans with IED injuries regain more function and health.